Rome was so disgraced in their eyes. Several of the things that they had against our presence there. And these were things that I could do something about. And so, armed with this knowledge, I made the preparations to approach my commander and then those under my command. As I walked into my commander's office, he asked me no questions about why I had delayed, but I was given a large surprise. You see, upon my arrival in Israel, the papers had also come that promoted me to the rank of centurion. That I was now going to be over 100 men, not just a small group of 20. I was very grateful for this opportunity, yet a little overwhelmed by it. But still, I knew my duty, and I knew what I was going to do with my troops. I made the preparations and presented myself to my troops. As your commander, there are many things that are happening in this section that are going to stop. The first thing that I am putting an end to is the practice of accepting bribes against others for a few denarius. This practice is making all of Rome stink before these people, and I will not have it under my command. At this, many of the people began to grumble, and two of them even began to threaten physical violence. I had them disarmed and sent back to Rome in disgrace, having terminated their contracts. I further went on to inform those under my command that there would be no more taking of the fruits, vegetables, or bread in the marketplaces without paying for it. We are not paupers. We are not poor. We are not destitute. We are Romans in control of this city, and there is no need for us to steal. This practice will stop. Some of them understood. Others were still grumbling. But at this point, I did give them something that they all appreciated. I told them that there was now going to be a 1 denarius per month raise for all those under my command. And I asked them a favor. I did not make this a command. I asked them a favor. That when they script a local, now, for those of you who do not understand, that is the practice of having one of the locals carry your pack for a mile. When they script a local, I asked them, do not request that they go any further than that 1 mile. And when they do this, give them something. Even just a small token of appreciation. Let them know that you see them as people, not as cattle or as pack animals. Show them a little kindness. At this, I'm quite sure some of them thought I had taken leave of my senses, but others saw the wisdom in what I was saying. That this would be a pathway to peace in our area. And it was. And we went about the city in a much calmer and more peaceful fashion. I myself led by example, but you see, I had an ulterior motive. When I took my pack out into the streets, it was simply a ruse to gain more information about these people, to continue to find ways to understand and to come closer in understanding the reason these people act the way they do. This was my goal. Peace, to make sure everything was done right, and so my pack was empty. I would pay the young men a token. They would carry it for me, and I would ask them questions upon questions about their culture, about their customs. And one thing that I found out, I laughed about this originally in finding it out, but later on, it was much different. You see, these people only had one God. Now, how on earth could they expect to be a nation on their own? How could they expect to rule themselves? How could they expect not to be conquered if they've only got one God to protect them? In Rome, we have dozens of gods, and we are in control of most of the known world. These people with their only one God. No wonder they were a conquered people. But the more I talked to these people, the more I found the relationship they had with their God. And the relationship that they had with their God exceeded the relationship that I had personal God, interested in them as people. This was foreign to me as Israel was to Rome. I wanted to hear more. I wanted to find out more. I wanted to understand more. So I scripted more and more of their locals to listen to more and more of the stories of their God. One thing that kept coming up in almost every conversation was that these people had no temple. They had no place to worship their God. They call it a synagogue that they could go to worship their God. As I listened to them, as I listened to the stories, as I listened to them talk to their God, something in my heart began to stir towards their God, towards this God who loved them so much, yet had let them become a conquered people under Rome. I could not understand everything, but there was something more in this God than I understood in all of our lives. I came to a decision. Now, I don't know if those of you who have had the benefit of this experience, but let me give it to you. You see, if you are planning a large donation or you are planning a big expenditure, please discuss this with your wives first. Because I tell you, it will save you much repentance and sleeping on the sofa later on. I went to my wife and to Tertius and explained to them that I thought we should put forth the money to build them their temple. And much to my surprise, universally it was accepted. Tertius thought it was a good idea because of the relationship we were developing with these people. My wife even said that in the marketplace they did not despise her or try to cheat her when she went out. And so, with my wife's full knowledge and acceptance, and with Tertius' guidance and understanding, I made arrangements to give to the priests the money to build their synagogue. The people rejoiced in this. I do not make a habit of accepting gifts. To accept a gift from a local means that your judgment can be clouded, that you will not always be able to draw the line between what is right and what is wrong. But this gift was left for me. And I am not sure if the young man who left it to me understands the impact it had, not only on my life, but the life of my family and the lives of those that we have come in contact with all down the line. This is a scroll from their songbook. It was written by their shepherd king, King David. I know I am not weak, I am not simple. I am strong, I am educated, I am a Roman. But when I read this and see the love that their God has for these people, I cannot help but weep from time to time. This was the 23rd Psalm. A Psalm of David. Jehovah is my shepherd. I do not lack. In pastures of tender grass he causeth me to lie down. By quiet waters he doth lead me. My soul he refresheth. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Also, when I walk through the valley of death's shade, I fear no evil. For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou arrangest before me a table over against my adversaries. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup is full. Only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and my dwelling is in the house of Jehovah forever. Such tenderness, such love from their God to his people. Upon receiving that and reading it, I went home to my family, and I shared this with them. And that very day, we made a covenant together that we too would worship Jehovah, the God of Israel. Time passes. In Israel, things were good. My wife had rearranged our house. She was happy with it. All things were in order until the day that Tertius became ill. Becoming ill is not usually a problem. People get sick and then they recover. This time, Tertius did not recover. He continued to get sicker and sicker. I said to the doctors, they would not come to our house. Let me explain this here now. For them to come to our house or to get within a close distance to us would defile them. So they kept their distance. But they would send medicines, none of which worked. Tertius grew more and more ill and became bedridden. And I sat and I thought, Tertius is my servant from my youth. From the time I was a small child, he was there. I was now an adult, as he was when he became my servant. How many years had I relied on him? How many years had I depended upon his guidance? And now there he was, in bed, unable to rise. The priests sent a message to me that there was a man coming into Capernaum, this Jesus of Nazareth. Now I had heard many things about Jesus, that he healed many, that he spoke the truth of their God. Somebody even said that he was the Messiah. If he was the Messiah, he would surely not want much to do with the Roman occupation army. But you do not get what you do not ask for. And so I sent my friends back to the priests to ask them to see if he would heal Tertius. And the message came back to me very quickly. Yes, he will come. I was overjoyed at the moment, but then I thought, he cannot come. He cannot come into my house. He cannot come to Tertius to heal him. Because for him to come even within a foot of me would defile him. How could he come into my house? I could not allow this. But I would not need to. He could heal Tertius from wherever he was. I sent my friends back to him to tell him, you do not need to come. Just speak the word from where you are, and Tertius will be healed. Yet, he continued to come. I could see now down the street that the crowd was coming, and I knew that he was in the crowd. And they were coming to my house. What could I do? If even a common man is defiled by entering my house, what will be of a holy man if he enters my house? Towards my gate, I saw them coming, and I knew what I needed to do. I walked to the gate, to the edge of my property, and as he arrived, I told him this. Lord, I am not worthy for you to come under my roof. But if you speak the word, my servant will be healed. I know this, because I am a man under authority, with servants under me. I say to one soldier, go, and he goes. I say to another soldier, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it. He looked into me. He did not look past me. He did not look at me. He looked into me. And he turned to the crowd, and he told them, I have not found such faith. No, not in all of Israel. He looked at me and he said, as you have believed, it has been done for you. I turned to walk back to my house, and Tertius met me at the door. That night, we took all of our scrolls, all of our paintings, all of our statues, everything that we had to remind us of the gods of Rome, and we burned them by night, making the covenant to worship the one